Today we're going to repair a water pick. This is a water pick. The repair is actually has to do with the line that they use to deliver the water. Now, after this is a few years old, this plastic, this hose, if you will, gets real brittle right here, and it just starts breaking off. Now, I have taken this, connected it in here, taken it all apart and made a nice connection inside of here, only to find that after another 2-3 weeks or a month, it breaks again. So this is a flexible from a gas line that wasn't being used for gas, but at any rate, the same idea. But let's go ahead and we're going to now replace this entire thing. See, there it goes. Look, there's a very good example. This thing just broke. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see some YouTube videos that shows, oh, just take this thing and connect it. But pretty soon, you're not going to have anything to connect it with. So what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate this whole thing completely and replace it with this line. This line is a food grade, probably a silicone, 2mm inside diameter, 4mm on the outside diameter. We can cut it to length. This is 10 feet, bought from Amazon for $6. I think they use this thing for beer brewing. So if you have a beer brewing supply store in your town, you could probably go ahead and get a similar type of material, food grade. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the existing line from here, and we're going to connect this line to there. It's held together by 2 screws. Let's take this apart. This will get us access into, it's a little T. Now, I love this water pick. Again, I think it is a poor design on the cable and the hosing. So this sort of comes out, and this is going to want to pop out. Let's get a nice flat screwdriver. Okay, this is held in primarily by this O-ring. This is an O-ring. If you find that it's leaking from here, not from the hose, but if it's leaking from this area, you're probably going to have to replace this O-ring. It's a small little rubber O-ring picked up at probably Home Depot, one of those stores. Anyway, so there it is. We've disconnected the original hose from the manufacturer. And even this is, see how brittle that is? I mean, it just dries out, it gets old. So we don't want that. Now, this is the new stuff, nice and flexible. This will probably last a lifetime. So we're going to shove this on. It's got a little burr area right here. There it is. Fits in there quite nicely. Now let's go ahead and put it back in. This kind of locks in like this. We're going to weave it through, and that kind of holds it. Let's go ahead and reconnect these screws. Not very complicated. Anybody could do this, and that way you've repurposed your water pick. And if you're like me, you probably like it, but you don't want to throw it away because everything else seems to work just fine on it. Here we go. That's nicely connected. Now I can, because I've got 10 feet, what we know, it's not going to be this nice little springy little thing. Like this thing was sort of a springy little thing that kind of recollapses itself. You're not going to get that feature. You're not going to get everything. So what I'm going to do is figure out, well, okay, here it is. This is the length. I know I'm going to want it there. I'm going to want to have this thing somewhat like this. So I think this is probably a reasonable length. You don't want to make it too long because then you're going to have this long hose sitting on your countertop. This is going to weave through here. And now we're going to take this thing apart and we're going to reconnect it. Now, because I had such trouble that it kept breaking, I just used tape to put this together. You're going to see in some other YouTube videos they show putting this thing back with super glue, but the problem is, again, if this thing starts breaking, it's going to continue to break. and perhaps after you're satisfied, you can go ahead and permanently glue this together. But for our purposes today, let's just, oh, be very careful. Right here, when you take this thing apart, I got buggered up. There's a little spring right here. Don't lose the spring. I actually lost that spring, and I had to fabricate one from, I forgot where I got this thing from, either a ballpoint pen, and I had to redesign it. I got that, so but anyway, don't lose that. Once you take this thing apart, it's very small, so work on an area that's going to be easy to take apart, and you're going to be able to find the components. All right, this is kind of a rig job, if you will, here. So we're going to take this off. Comes off. This should go on here, and this is kind of a, I don't think it's going to do anything because look, it doesn't have enough friction. I think this original hose is, they're pretty darn close. This is probably just a tad thicker. So this guy here connects onto this flared end, and this is supposed to kind of come back and then lock it, and it does. You know what? I think I got this backwards. There is a open area. Let's go ahead and take it off. Let's reverse it because it looks like one side maybe may not be. Put this on down here. Let's push it on. We've made the connection. This is going to hold it, and it's kind of locked in place. All right, okay, now remember that spring. That spring, this thing has got to sit back through this hole, and when you put this thing in, you have to make sure, right now this spring is sitting on the outside, this spring has got to be on the inside. So I'm going to twist this thing slightly, make sure that spring is inside. Just like that. See, now when I put the two parts together, that spring won't be sitting on the plastic. So I'm kind of being careful about it. Oh, there's that spring. What did I tell you? It came off. Yeah. I got to refix it here. It's quite important because without the spring, it leaks like crazy right there. So there's like a little bit of a, it's held in place like that. Let's get it ready again. I think we'll take these two pieces apart. This goes in the hole. Just push that spring back in because you need that pressure, because that's what helps the seal. Now we're just going to lay the other piece directly on top. And there it is. Okay, if we did this correctly, so this should come out. It's held, you push that up and it comes out. So if it doesn't do this, then your spring isn't in the correct position. But it looks like everything here is good. I'm going to put another piece of tape on here. We're going to put the water pick on it and let's just test it and cut. Hit the. Okay, all is back together again, and let's see what I did, just because I want to be 100% test everything, keep it. I didn't want to glue it together because it's quite difficult to take it apart, so I just used a little bit of this 3M tape, just regular tape, wrapped it on it so that the handle stays together. I say keep it on there, test it out. If it looks all wonderful in a month, then go ahead and maybe put some glue on it and make it permanent. But again, remember, when you take this apart, watch out for that little spring on here. You lose it, you're in big trouble because it won't seal. Let's try this thing out. Well, there's that. That's what we're looking for. We got no leaks here. We don't have any leaks there. So I think this has turned out to be a very good solution. You can make this particular hose longer or shorter. I think this height again, the hassle with this thing is that unlike the other one, it doesn't kind of roll it up. And so you'll just have to deal with that. You can make it as short as you want. You can make it as long as you want. Maybe you want to put it underneath the cabinet so you don't have to listen to the noise. And you can put it underneath the cabinet and have this nice hole sticking out and just do your teeth. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.